welcome to the Urban Action Showcase and Expo virtual experience. I'm your host, founder, and executive producer, Demetrius Angelo, and I don't like to lie. I like to tell the truth. And when I told you the hammer was coming down, the hammer has come down. Ladies and gentlemen.
Your countdown numbers sound like gunshots, dude. I didn't know if I should run away from this table or not, dude. I got a piece right here. I didn't want to show it. I got a piece here just in case. Dang.
Well, I wanted to, make sure that I was lining up with the theme of the hammer.
Put some pings in there, man. You sound like gunshots, dude.
Ladies and gentlemen, Fred the Hammer Williamson, welcome to the set, sir. We so appreciate you.
Got to be somewhere. Might as well hang here.
Yes, sir. And joining us from Native Brown Media, Ms. Les Frye. Thank you for coming back for us today.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate you. Well, I'm going to hand you the baton, and I'm going to let you guys do your own powwow. And I'll come back and I'll facilitate the questions to you through the chat. And I'll see you guys shortly. All right, take it away.
Thank you.
No problemo.
So once again, you all, my name is Les Frye, and I'm the executive producer and content creator for Native Brown Media. And welcome again to Urban Action Showcase Virtual Expo. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, we are in the presence of Black film royalty. Okay? My first time meeting... Now, listen, the first time I met you was in 1968 when I was about 7 years old watching Julia. Yeah.
Whoa.
But wait a minute. Let me finish.
Where were we?
I was seven.
But where?
I was admiring you. As the potential love interest.
I can understand that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. It was worthy.
No, I can understand.
And then I met you again. Wait a minute. I met you again in 1974 at the Thunderbird Drive-In Theater on Natural Bridge in St. Louis when I saw Three the Hard Way. I wasn't supposed to be seeing Three the Hard Way, but my parents didn't have no babysitter, so I ended up having to go to the theater.
Right.
But since then, you went in to star in other films like Black Caesar, Hell Up in Harlem.
Well, you can't name them all, girl. You can't name them all.
I cannot name all of them, but I am so. And we have to say that you produced a lot of these films and directed all of these films. You produced under Po' Boy Productions.
Well, I had to produce because I wasn't getting the roles that I wanted to present to my audience. I wasn't getting the roles that they really want to see me do. They want to kill the black guy the first 5 seconds of the movie and have Schwarzenegger avenge his death. That's not my style. Kill Schwarzenegger, let me avenge his death. We didn't have any black heroes. I remember being a kid and going to see Western movies and going to see all these gangster movies. I never saw any black heroes. And we had Mantan Moreland. We had Stephen Fetchit. We had all these. They were good actors, but they weren't doing it for me as a kid because I was a thug. I was fighting all my life. I've been fighting. I had to fight because I've always been a good-looking kid. I was a really cute little kid, right?
And they figured it out. On that? You still good looking. You're still good looking.
But I used to be cute. When I was younger, I was cute. And somehow they think that just because I look like that, they could kick my butt. So I had to show them that was not a good thing to even try to do. So sometimes I'd start a fight just to show them who I was. So I got that reputation. But I was forced to do it, I'm looking for that when I'm going to the movies. I'm looking for some identity, but I couldn't find it. So I never wanted to be a movie star. That was never my goal. I was a football player. Okay, I was an icon football player. I had a life already. I went to college. I graduated as an architectural engineer from Northwestern. So during the off season when I wasn't playing football, I worked as an architect for Bechtel Steel Corporation in San Francisco. So movies was far-fetched for me.
Let's talk about football for just a second. I know we're getting ready to talk about all the films that you've been in because we are going to be discussing the 40-year anniversary of Death Journey and the 25th year anniversary of Original Gangstas. But you and I have something in common, and that's called the NFL. Yeah. I was an NFL cheerleader for 4 years actually.
Where?
For the St. Louis Football Cardinals. Don't hate.
No, I ain't hating. I ain't hating. It's something to do. You
Yeah,
found something to do.
from 1984 to 1988, but we know we
Okay.
hardly ever won a game. That's what I want to say. But hey, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest, and I know that you're gonna be very
Yeah,
honest.
yeah.
So, in my opinion, this is my opinion only, but I want to know yours. The glory days of football has gone. I mean, football back in the day was like charisma, sex appeal, and action. The
Yeah.
atmosphere created icons and legends like you and Jim Brown. And
But
I
there's a
don't feel that that's there anymore.
but there's a reason for that.
Okay, tell me.
It's very simple. When I graduated from Northwestern, I was drafted by the 49ers. I was number 2 draft choice. My signing bonus was 1,900. My starting salary was 9,005.
What?
So Jim Brown, when he retired, the most he ever made was probably $70,000. There were no $100,000 players at that time. Forget about millionaires.
Mm-hmm.
Money has changed the game. Money has changed the attitude. They now play for the money. We played because we were special. You were
Yeah.
good enough to be called a professional athlete. So that satisfied us. That was really our goal, to be considered the best at what we did, because we weren't making any money.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody that played back up until probably 1970 had an off-season job. And the owner, whatever profession he was in, or whatever the investors were, business that they were in, they found you a job in their company or in their corporation. That's how it was back in the day. So
I think
money changed the game.
and you're right about it. You know, outside of not having any money, you had to have charisma and charm. You had to have appeal. But when you have money, you think that that's all you need is money.
No, we were proud to represent. We represent being a professional athlete. That was more important than what car we drive and what neighborhood we lived in and how much money we made. The fact that you are a professional athlete, that's you have a skill. You have a skill purpose and you make a living with that skill.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I left football, because I got bored. I got bored because I wasn't mentally challenged. I was only looked at a piece of meat. I was physically challenged all the time. So I got tired of that. So I went full time. Instead of doing off season as an architect, I went full time. But I stayed in football too long because I couldn't make the transition comfortably. All of a sudden, I'm sitting behind a desk and I'm doing a 9 to 5 and I got an hour for lunch. That just did not fit my personality or my character. So one night I'm watching television and I said, I think I'll go do that. I'm watching the Julia show. And I noticed that each week Julia had a new boyfriend.
Yep.
I said to my unconceited self, I'm better looking than any of those guys. I'm going to Hollywood and become Diane Kill's boyfriend. And I did. In 1 week, I became a boyfriend for 3 years.
Yep. You spoke it into the atmosphere, and I'm so glad you did. Because when you came on the scene, I too, as a young Black girl watching that show, I was like, you know, and I was raised by a single mom. I was not comfortable with that scenario. I knew that there were stable relationships out there, and I wanted that for her, even at a young age. I wanted this. I want to thank you for
But that's
going in there and
but,
talking and speaking that into the atmosphere.
well, that's how I convinced him. It was the producer was Hal Cantor. I remember looking at the credits to get his name. So I went, packed all my stuff in the car, and drove to Los Angeles from San Francisco. I checked into a hotel, unpacked, drove around to 20th Century Fox gate. And they said, why are you here? I'm here to see Mr. Hal Cantor. I said, you have an appointment? I said, no, I don't have an appointment. Well, you can't drive on. I said, okay, thank you. Drove around the block to a phone booth, because those days there wasn't no cell phones. Called back to the gate. This is Mr. Hal Cantor's office. Respecting Mr. Williamson. Will you let him in, please? Bang, hung the phone up. Went back around to the gate. Ah, yes, Mr. Williamson. He's in bungalow 22. So I went to the bungalow, went to the secretary. I said, I'm here to see Mr. Hal Cantor. She says, you're expecting you? I says, no. She said, what's your name? I said, just tell him the Hammer is in the house. So she gets on the squawk box and she says, Mr. Cantor, there's a Mr. Hammer out here. I said, no, not Mr. Hammer, the Hammer. 5 seconds of silence. He says, football player? I said, yeah. Oh, come on in, let's talk. So we went in. We talked about 15 minutes. And after that, he says, why are you here? I said, I'm here to save your show. I says, You got a lady that's dating a different guy every day. That doesn't say much for her character. What you need is a regular boyfriend. He says, well, I've been thinking about that. I said, well, you don't have to think anymore. I'm here. He said, have you ever acted before? I said, I did 5 years in Raisin in the Sun in Montreal, Canada, and Carmen Jones in Montreal. I lied. If you'd
I
asked
was ready to say, wait a
if you'd
minute.
asked me what character I played, I'd have been dead in the water. But he didn't ask me what character, so I didn't have to lie no more because I wouldn't have had an answer anyway. He said, well, that's very good. You had some experience. I said, oh, hell yeah, bad experience. So it's okay. We'll write a show for you called Dancer in the Dark. You're an ex-football player who come to work for the same company that she works for, and you guys meet and fall in love. I said, okay. We did it. They signed me to a 3-year contract.
Wow. So how hard was it for you to become an actor? You know, did you just use, I mean, obviously you just used all your charm and went in there and did that. But when it came to like all the preparation and stuff, what did you do?
Preparation comes from being alert, from learning. I never left the set. First of all, I wanted to learn the whole business. The only way you can be successful in any business is learn the business of the business.
Hmm.
Everybody sit in their trailer and had all the great food and drinks. I never left the set. I bugged the crew. What do you call that thing? Why are you moving that over there? What is that? What is that like? Can I open the camera? Can I see in the camera? I was absorbing the whole sense of being in the business. For me to be in front of the camera was okay. I was a ham all my life anyway. You know, I was called the Hammer. That had to be a reason I was called the Hammer. Is because even today, if I ask anybody on your show, or even you, if you got a favorite football team, name me the defensive backs. Nobody can do it. They can name the running back, the quarterback, the pass receiver. Name me 4 defensive backs. They can't do it because they get no notoriety unless they get beat 4 or 5 times in the film. Then they get notoriety. Me,
Right.
I put myself in a position being my personality, wearing white shoes, getting up off the ground, brushing dirt off me all the time. I became somebody that they watched. So I understood business. I understood markability. And I made a point of doing that. And that's why my career has lasted so long, because I understand the business of the business.
You've got to be one of the hardest working men in the industry. I mean, you've done so many films from the get-go until now, and you're still doing films. You're still doing films.
But
It's just unbelievable. You are such an inspiration because I don't know where you get all that energy and look so good still. You look so
well,
good.
I ate a lot of black jelly beans, you see, and I often tell people my secret, but they don't believe me. I eat an enormous amount of black jelly beans, and that's what keeps me tight, keeps my color in tight, because I don't want to go lighter. Then I have to change my style and my character. But learning the business of the business is a secret, because when I came into the business, I wanted to be the hero,
Mm.
because there were no black heroes. And I said, the only way I can do that is learn the business. Then I can go make my own movies. I don't have to count on them anymore. So I let them give me experience. After the Julia show, I did the movie MASH, which was on the same lot. I mean, it was all parallel. The producer of the film was Ingo Preminger of MASH, and his brother was Otto Preminger. Ingo came to me after the movie and says, my brother's looking for someone to play a beach boy, and I think he will love you if he meet you. So he takes me to meet his brother, Otto Preminger. I wind up doing Tell Me You Love Me, Junie Moon.
I
So,
remember that.
so I got to be known. Now it's time to start looking for what I could do for myself. Every movie that I have made under my company, Pole Boy Productions, I have written, but I never take writer's credit because it's too much. People start critiquing me. Written by, produced by, directed by, starring, especially black folks, can't handle that. I can't be, I can't be all of that. That's just the way it is. I understand that. So I
So,
back away.
not to interrupt you, let's talk about Death Journey.
Yeah,
So, Death Journey that you filmed in 1976,
right.
which you starred, directed, and produced. Are you Abel Jones?
Abel Jones.
Yeah. Who wrote this? Who wrote that script?
I never take writer's credit. I never
All
take one
right.
because I don't want to be critiqued with all those titles. written by, produced by, directed by, starring. I don't want all those titles because that's too many. People can't handle that. People just cannot relate to one guy doing all of that. I even gave my dog 4 or 5 credits, you know. I even get my 10-year-old, 12-year-old son, Jeff Williamson, credits. I never take writer's credit. Never.
Wow. That's unbelievable.
So they get the credits.
So for our audience that has not seen the film, you play a lone private detective by the name of Jesse Crowder, who's tasked by the ADA to safely transport a mob witness from LA to New York,
Right,
all the while being followed by hired killers.
Yeah.
And you're the sole protector of this person. Now, that character, Jesse Crowder, went on to do other films like No Way Back, Blind Rage.
But let me tell you about Jesse Crowder.
In there, right?
Let me tell you about Jesse Crowder. There were 2 guys, 2 seniors when I was a freshman in high school. And I'm watching these 2 guys. And one of them was named Jesse Crowder. And they had a reputation that if you looked at them wrong, they'd beat the crap out of you. They'd just kick your butt every time you look at them. And I'm watching this. But I never saw him beat up anybody. I never saw him fight. It was the way these 2 guys carried themselves down the hallway, the way that they walked. People got out of their way. Guys would come up and ask, can they carry your books? They had this personality. I don't know if they were smart or just dumb, because if you said, hey, Jesse, he'd go, okay. So I don't know if that was, I says, okay, that's the secret. That's the way. I don't have to fight to get the power. I just have to elude the power. And that is how I carry my characters in my film. I don't ever come in and beat up somebody and act tough. I get my butt kicked first, or I get smacked around first. Somewhere along the line, I'm saying, don't ever do that again. Then I have the audience on my side. Then I can fight them. I can shoot them. I can throw them out the window because they're saying, yeah, get him, Hammer, because they've done me dirty. So I learned that. And then the characters that I play, I write all the Po' Boy productions. I write the story because I have relationships in my life about stories that I write. Death Journey. Death Journey, I wanted to present a travelogue because seemingly back in the day when a black star was in the film, it was always in Philadelphia or Chicago or New York, some ghetto, always in the ghetto. I wanted to travel. I wanted to let this be a travelogue. So I went on train, I went by plane, I went by bus, I went to Kansas City, I went to Palm Springs.
You went to St. Louis. You went to St. Louis. I saw you. You went behind them. I recognized it.
Went to New York. So I wanted a travelogue. I wanted to present something more interesting than just a hero guy doing a lot of things. Look at the scenery, relate to where I am, you know? Yeah, I know that street. Oh yeah, I know that city. Oh yeah, I know that building. That's what I did. And I didn't have the money to do all the big locations and stay in one place and do all that. Every place that I went, they helped. The brothers on the train, they gave me supercar. I wanted to shoot on the dining room. They said, we'll come out to 3 o'clock because nobody's here. It's all empty. Doom.
Yes. I was wondering how you managed to shoot all of that with, I think you made, what was it, $600,000 budget on that film?
No, how about 200?
Oh my gosh. I knew it had to be people just because of you.
Yeah.
And because people knew who you were, that they were looking at it. I honestly think that one of the reasons why Jesse Crowder was so successful is because his chest was out for the first 45 minutes of the movie.
Yep.
Yeah. Whose idea was that, to have his chest out?
Hey, got to give people something to see.
Oh my gosh, you were killing me with that chest out. It wasn't like 2 buttons on, it was like the whole jacket was open. I loved it.
Listen, I mean, if I work hard to get that, what am I hired for? I mean, that's the whole purpose.
I agree with you. It was worth the watch. It was worth the watch.
It ain't changed.
Okay. I believe you on that. I believe you on that. I believe everything you say. I believe it.
I've gained 5 pounds, lose 3 pounds, 5 pounds since I stopped playing. I haven't gone more than 5 pounds.
Wow. And let's talk about the wardrobe too in that film. The wardrobe was actually really nice. The suits and everything. The ladies all
Listen,
had nice clothes,
you
and
gotta
I didn't see
understand,
a wardrobe person.
that's the power of being black. The power of being black is you go into the ghetto and you buy all these shiny silk suits for $35. So it ain't the suit making me look good. It's me making the suit look good. Because after the film is over, it all falls apart. But I'm only paying $35 for a suit, shiny shoes, all that stuff. That's in the ghetto. You go down to, Macy's and you pay $125 for a suit. I don't want no bullet holes in the suit. But if I go in the south side of Chicago, I go on Hollywood Boulevard, I can buy wardrobe forever and not spend more than $50. And
Yeah,
I can come out with some clothes that's killer, girl. Let me tell you.
the clothes, even the ladies' clothes, some of those like diaphanous clothes that they were wearing, covering their vital parts,
I tell
was
them where to
just
shoot. I tell them where to shop. I tell my wardrobe people where to shop. Here's where you go. Don't be picking no name stuff. Just pick stuff that looks good on my people. Okay? That's how I
they
do it.
did it. They understood the assignment. They really did because the clothing was awesome. Now, this film also is known for its lines, the lines in particular, memorable lines. Do you have a particular memorable line in Death Journey that you like? I have one. I already know the scene and everything, but do you?
Uh, Not really, because I write on the spur of the moment and it changes per scene. And somebody's giving me something back, some good energy, then that prompts me to create a line to give to them or to give myself. I'm not locked in to a script because sometimes my scripts are only 15 pages long. I did one with Richard Pryor. It was 12 pages because I knew Richard. So I said, Richard, when you come into this bar, take it over. And he started going boom, 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 boom. And just stay in the character, stay within the story. It's your scene is yours, Richard. So that's why I got you, man. Oh yeah, thanks, man. Okay. That's the way I shoot. People that I respect and people that I know that can do the job.
That's amazing because I have to tell you my favorite line in that was after you were in the train with the turncoat female
Yes,
and
yes.
she asked you, were you going to kill her? And you told her, no, you was too good in the sack. And then you threw her out the train.
I
Best
waved
line
by,
ever.
but I waved by.
You did. But I'm telling you, when I have been watching the film, I was sitting there with my husband, and we screamed when you said that line.
But
Screamed. Best line ever.
nobody knew I was gonna throw her off the train though. See, that was a surprise.
And give her a send off comment too. It was really good.
Hey, entertainment. That's what I'm there for. That's what I do, and I keep it in character. And if you're a tough guy and a badass, you can't play it.
Yeah.
You can't play that. Either you have that quality to walk down the street and people respect you and give you some space, or they bump into you without apologizing. That don't happen in my life. It's because of the way I carry myself, and now I have a reputation. So now I'm even worse than ever now because I got a reputation. They know I'm a karate guy. They know I'm a black belt guy. They know that I kick people's butt on the screen. Nobody wants to challenge me and see if that's real or not real because I'm 6'3". I weigh 220 pounds. You may win the fight, but you're gonna get hurt. So nobody wants to sacrifice themselves to show that they're tougher than I am, right?
I don't
So
think anybody would want to do that even because there's such mad respect for you, honestly.
I don't want
You
them to
know,
feel that way. I don't want them to feel like you don't have to challenge me. What is it? You want to see me kick? Okay, hold your hand out. I can kick over your hand. Is that good enough?
wow. Let's talk about your martial arts training. So you have a black belt, right? In Kempo,
Taekwondo.
Shotokan, karate, and Taekwondo.
Yeah, I studied with Aaron Banks in New York City. Aaron Banks was my sensei. During off season when I wasn't playing football, that's what I did. I worked out in martial arts because I hate the gym, the smelly gym, and working out and the pumping and all that stuff. I didn't want to. That was funky for me. I didn't want to do that. But I wanted to stay in shape. I wanted to stay in shape. So during off season, I was a martial artist. I didn't do that sweat box stuff.
And
So
it goes nowhere. Working out goes nowhere. At least when you're learning, you're getting, and when you were what do you call it, conditioning yourself, you're
Yeah.
learning a technique. That's
Yeah, but
one
you
of the
gotta,
reasons why I like dance too, dance and martial arts,
but you gotta
because
stay in shape. But you gotta stay in shape. Okay,
right,
so in off season, you gotta run the track. You gotta go in the weight room. You gotta sit in a hot tub that 15 other guys just got out of the goddamn hot tub. So that 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 didn't interest me. So I gotta find some other athletic activity to keep me in shape during the off season. And martial arts came, and that's what I did. That's how I stayed in shape during the off season.
makes you more flexible too, because if you're sitting up there bulking up, you're not going to be able to extend yourself. At least martial arts gives you the flexibility too.
Well, I gotta look good in my clothes, girl. You can't look good all bulked up. Look, all these bucked up guys could only wear t-shirts.
Yep.
See them put a jacket on, they all look like this, man.
Walking around like this.
Yeah, right. They look good in t-shirts. Put them in a jacket, forget about it. They look like freaks.
True. All right. So Demetrius said we didn't have very much time because I know we've had you here all day. We want to talk about Original Gangsters.
Yeah.
And you played a character, John Bookman, whose father gets shot, and you return to Gary, Indiana to round up your own OGs to battle the gang
OG
members and restore the old neighborhood to its
OG
community.
was my life story.
Yeah.
Most of the
So I,
most of the movies that I make come from personal experience. OG came from a personal experience. I'm in Hollywood doing my thing. My parents was living in Gary, Indiana. Some guy, they rent a house next to them, and they made it a dope house. And they said she parked her car in their driveway and they couldn't move, and so they gave her hell. Some neighbor heard this guy giving my mom hell. They called me and says, "You better come back here and take care of this because your mother's getting a problem." So I came back and I went to the next door to the house. I knocked on the door. Guy came in, came to the door. I grabbed him, drug him outside, took him out in the middle of the street, ripped all his clothes off, made him run down the street buck naked. And then I went into the house with the other guys where I says, "That's what's going to happen to all of you because I'm going to call my friends. If you think about retribution, I'm going to call Bubba. I'm going to call Junior. I'm going to call Sam. I'm going to call Pedro. I'm bringing them all down here. I'm bringing my boys down here because I'm from Gary, so I was ex-thug. I
right.
know. I says, and I will take all of you out of here. So you got 2 days to move out of this house and get away from me and my mother and my family because I will take you out." I said, "Now there." After I settled down from that, I said, "Wow, there's a movie there. There's a movie."
And a good movie it is. I
Movie.
have to tell you, that movie, in my opinion, it was really authentic. As somebody who grew up in a small town,
Yeah.
and that once was a successful community because there was
Yeah.
industry there, and it's dying out, and is being consumed by crime and drugs and gangsters. I thought that the aesthetics of that film was extremely authentic,
My
and even
best
the
friend,
conversations were authentic.
because I wrote on the spot. I wrote based on the chemistry that I was feeling with other actors, based on the chemistry that I was feeling from Jim and Pam. I wrote the scene on the spot that night and gave it to them. And they said, "Oh, that's really good, man. That's how we talk. That's how we relate to each other." So I made the dialogue very simple. All that action that I did, burning down 10 houses and all that, those are houses that were condemned. My best friend was the mayor of the city. He gave all that to me. He said, "Burn how many? How many you want to burn?" I said, "How many you got there?" He got like 20. "No, that's too much. That's a big fire. How about 10 of the houses?" Okay. So what we did, put fake grass in front of all of them. Every window that was broken, I had somebody come in and put the glass back in, put bicycles out front like everybody was still living there. And all we did was blow them up. Huge, big fire. Fireplace, the fire department was standing behind us. So when the scene was over, I said, "Cut. Okay, go ahead." They put the fire out. That was all free. That was nothing.
Wow.
That was my
Wow.
This is my relationship with the city. All those gangsters, all those kids that were bad, they were real
Real
gangsters.
gangsters.
They were real guys, man. But they gave me the respect that I asked for them to do. I said, "I'm not here to fight you. I'm here to show you that I love you. And if you give me some help, I will give you help back. It ain't about money. I will give you respect." And all those guys, they worked their butts off, man. They had a good time. some guys come out of there are still working now. Some guys are in the movie business doing
I
it.
wanted to ask you that because I remember reading that everything was quiet. I mean, nobody was, giving beef, but Larry Cohen, who directed the film with you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He said that after you all left, like the truces were over, the gangs were like, going back and stuff. But I wanted to know, was there anybody that was completely changed by having been an actor, getting out there and being able to have that as an outlet as opposed to fighting in a gang? And
At least,
who
at least five of the guys. At least five of the guys are now working in Hollywood. I had to like calm. I had to do Larry, take him aside because he really hadn't worked with that many black people before. And I said, you got to be a little nicer, man. If you're not being nicer, you're gonna have to get fired. You're gonna get out
Mhm.
of here. But you got to be nice. Ain't no yelling. Ain't no screaming at people that are helping me out of love, like all those people in the church. I mean, it didn't pay them nothing. They were all there. They want to be in the movie, okay? And Larry's giving them directions like he's talking to an actor. You got to be quiet over there. You got to sit. I said, "Whoa, come here, let me talk to you, man. That ain't happening here. We don't do that here. You're not doing that. If you're going to do that continually, you're out of here. Because I don't
Yeah.
need you as a director anyway. You're out of here." He said, "Well, I don't. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know I was doing that. Yeah, you're doing that, man. You're pissing people off. We don't need that. The church, they give to me free. The city is mine. I can do whatever I want in the city. The worst thing I did. Let me tell you the worst thing I did. I broke for lunch with my crew and all my actors, and we went to a church where my mom was church,
Mhm.
and everybody cooked. All about 8, 9
Oh my
hours cooked.
goodness. Oh,
Okay, I mean they
that's definitely small town.
had a food layout on the table you could not believe. After we finished eating, each guy walking out like this. I said, "What's the matter?" "No, I can't work no more, man." They had string beans, black eyed peas, cornbread,
Everybody
apple
had
pie,
itis.
potato pie. I had to call the day off. I called. I called. I said, "Go home, man. Go, go lay down. We'll start tomorrow." I will never do that again. I'm not, Mom. I tell you, here's some money for the tomorrow, but we ain't coming because I get no work out of my crew coming down here eating at the church. Right?
You know what it's like after a church function. You
Oh
go
no!
straight home to go to sleep, right?
Exactly.
You make your
With,
plate. You
with some
make your
sweet.
plate with all your food on and your dessert on the top,
Yes.
and you take
Yeah.
another plate home and go home and go to
Exactly.
sleep.
You taking another plate home. That's what they did. You're right.
Wow. Wow. That is amazing. So
Yeah.
you actually now you had a lot of people in this film that helped you
Oh
out. You
yeah.
had Pam Grier, you had Jim Brown, you had uh oh my gosh. Let me
Superfly.
think of it. Yes,
Superfly.
Ron
Ron
O'Neill. You
O'Neill.
have Ron O'Neill in
But
it.
see, I believe in camaraderie. I mean, sports taught me that. If 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 the guy next to you is not doing his job, it makes your job look bad. But I knew these guys were my friends, and everybody knows that when you work with me, I'm going to give you your due. I'm not going to, just because I'm the director or I'm the star, I'm the producer, I'm not going to take all the credit. I'm not going to steal all the scenes. I'm going to give you what people know you as. Whatever your credentials were that got you where you are, I'll give you that role. Pam must have beat up 10 guys, just slam one guy in the face with a gas top with that, and everybody in this theater crazed. They jumped up, man. She
Oh,
went,
that was a
bam.
satisfactorily
Yeah,
fight scene. I'm
yeah,
telling you, I was very
yeah.
satisfied by that.
Yeah. So I gave everybody their due. There was no competition between all of us. I gave them all equal time to do your thing that people wait to see you do. Fight,
Mm.
shoot, run, whatever. I gave them their due. And I left a little bit for me, but I didn't really need a lot because, hey, I can do one thing. That's all they want to see me do. One thing. And I
Well,
did my last fight. I did a fight with the big brother at the end of the fight. And he had never did a movie before. He was a Teamster. So when I was in Chicago, when I was in Gary making these movies, I said, "Look, I don't hire Teamsters because they don't do nothing. They just sit around and eat
he's
and don't
gone
protect
on to
anything."
films, right? He
Yeah,
has. I
but
saw him in some other
but
stuff.
yeah, he's been about several films, but he was a Teamster. He was not an actor. I says, "Okay," and I knew I thought I had him for a moment. I says, "Okay, I'll take a Teamster if you give me a black one." And I know they had no black Teamsters in Illinois or Indiana, and they had him who was working as a janitor at Soldiers Field, and he says he's the only black Teamster we have. I said, "Bring him here, then I'll do a Teamster."
Wow.
And for that, he's done like 4 or 5 movies since then.
Yep. Yep. He sure has.
Yeah,
I recognized him immediately when I saw him, and I was like,
yeah,
"Oh my gosh!" Now that you told
yeah.
me that he went from being a janitor to that,
Keeps
you changed a lot of lives with that
yeah.
film.
Oh yeah,
You
no,
know.
there's a lot of people in that film went on to work. You know, the kid who got shot,
Yep.
the kid who he started working a lot. You know,
Oh my
so
goodness. My goodness. I love that film so much. I really did. Now I noticed something, and we're gonna go back to Death Journey. I noticed that you were playing Do Any Way You Wanna. That
yeah,
song was going through
yeah,
that. So you
yeah,
must love. Look, I knew immediately what that song was. I was over here doing the tighten up. I was like, oh, I
yeah,
love that
yeah, yeah,
song. But I
yeah.
remember that back in the day.
But
It looks like you like that type of genre,
no,
the
no,
funk
no.
R&B.
Here's the thing. Hollywood does not use extensively black musicians,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the best music out there. I mean, we don't have to argue about that. It's the best music ever, but they don't use them.
And
Me,
emulated often.
I got I got James Brown in Black Caesar, $5. I got Ramsey Lewis in another film with Nancy Wilson. Got Nancy Wilson, $5. I give them all the music rights. All the music is yours. All the residuals that comes from the music in my film is yours. I have to give you some kind of credibility, some kind of uh, money to show that it's legal. So $5 for you, $10 for you, but they own all the music. I am not that greedy that I got to own the music too. It's
Mm-hmm.
there. So I go after the musicians that I know that can fit the music in the movie that I want.
And
And
that was the case with original Gangstas too, because the
it's
music
easy.
was, back in the
It's
day
easy to
was
get them.
very, yeah.
It's easy to get them because nobody hires them. They're like non-existent on the music scene in some of these big major movies when they ought to be using them. Nobody used James Brown. How many movies did James Brown score? Ramsey Lewis, come on, man. Coltrane, all these guys, they should have been on the top list for soundtracks in the movies. They didn't use them.
Yep, you're right about that, and it fit perfectly. You did it well. They fit perfectly. The music, the soundtracks actually fit perfectly. So Demetrius is telling me we have about 5 minutes. I'm going to ask you, what advice do you have to young independent filmmakers of color out there? I mean, you've given us so many seeds of wisdom here, but what advice do you have as far as telling them to have the same kind of longevity that you have and the
Well,
uniqueness that you have?
I already told you one secret already, which is learn the business of the business. Learn how your film is sold. That's why my longevity is still active because I learned when you talk to the young guys, they say, well, I got to get a distributor. You don't have to get a distributor because the distributor is just going to rob you of all your money. You can make the greatest movie in the world and you give it to Universal Studios and you ain't going to make a dime. They don't get it. They want their films to play in major theaters and be picked up by Paramount or Universal. That's dumb. That's dumb. Unless you have $50 million to make a movie and you make a movie for less than that and you give it to a distributor, you ain't making a dime. You're making nothing. Zero.
Don't they take control over that too? Once a big studio comes in, they take control of all of the creative. They come in there and they make changes.
But even beyond that, he who counts the money first makes the money.
Mm.
So they count the money first, okay? Money come from the theater, money coming from television. They count it and they give you what's left. After they take out their percentage and their expenses, they give you what's left. 99.9999%, there ain't nothing left for you. First thing I did was take my film to Europe.
Mm.
I took my film to Cannes Film Festival. First, I went to Cannes on my own. Went there for about a week and sit around the table and watch how they negotiate and how they do and what they do, right? So then I learned that my films are just as popular in Europe as they are here, except
Mhm.
I'm being told at the time that I'm making them that black films don't sell in Europe. And I'm going, I mean, I can't totally believe that, man, because I know so many European girlfriends. You're going to tell me that they don't like me over there? You got to be crazy. I ain't buying it, man. I ain't buying it. No. So I go to Cannes, right? I go to MeFed. And I'm watching all these festivals, how they do it. So I did the same thing they did. I take a little script, post it, go to con. I gave the maitre d' $50 a day to save me the same table on the patio outside. I put down my posters and wait for somebody to come. They go, is that your movie? Yeah. You made, okay, have you made it? No, we're working on it. Well, how much you want for Spain? I give them prices. Okay, we like the story. We'll give you the, as soon as your movie is made, we'll give you the money for Spain. So what I did was gather all these contracts for all these different countries, and I bring it back to a bank here. I had a relationship with First Los Angeles Bank. They loaned me money against the contracts, and that's how I made my movies.
Wow. Wow. And they give us so much more respect over there. They, as far as anything that we produce or create, they consume it as if they've never listened to it before. And it's so sad that we don't get it equally here in the United States. But that's great advice, because everybody's thinking about making it so big here in the US.
But they don't get it. They don't understand. These young kids talk about, well, I got a distribution deal. Even if you got the best distribution deal in the world, you ain't gonna make any money, because they count the money first.
Mm-hmm.
Europe, I sell country by country, territory by territory. You give me a check, you get the film. You give me a check, you get the film. I based on me guesstimating what my value is to Spain, to Germany, to Italy, to Sweden, and I know. So I'm going to get my money back, and ain't nobody going to count it but me, right?
Right.
It ain't happening here, man. It ain't. But you can't tell that to these young guys. They think you're stupid when you say, "Oh man, Universal's not going to take that. If they do, they're going to rob you." No, man, it's the greatest picture. It's going to be so fantastic. Maybe, but you ain't going to make money. You ain't going to make a dime.
Well, you and I talked about that before, that we did this interview about the fact that you need to expand yourself as people of color. You need to go overseas and see what's over there, because you'd be surprised how you're going to be received and this is why people in the past, the movie stars, creators, artists back in the day in the 40s and 50s went over to Europe, because you
Even
are
musicians,
better.
even musicians,
Exactly.
went over there and got their power and came here and used it here. Then when it starts to go away, they go back to Europe and do it. They all did that. James Brown did it. Marvin Gaye, all the guys had power in Europe, right?
Yep. Enough to say. Well, thank you so very much, Mr. Fred the Hammer Williamson. This has made my millennium. This has made my millennium talking to you. I am telling you that, and beyond. I've so much from you. Thank you for everything. Thank you for just being an example, an icon. I'm going to take everything that you told me and I'm going to take it to the bank. And it ain't going to be in the US. It's going to be in Europe.
Yeah. Well, I'm still a thug.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The Hammer, ladies and gentlemen. Sir, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you.
No
You
problem.
are definitely a living legend, and we thank you for everything you've done for us. These are broad shoulders that we're standing on, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure you guys tune in tomorrow for Death Journeys. You guys can check that out tomorrow. Just go to Urban Action Showcase and click under screenings. You'll find out what time it's playing. But sir, you've got VFW out right now. I put that in the chat. Atomic Eden is out right now.
Right.
And you're currently working on a new one in Spain. What's that one called?
The Fourth Horsemen's, directed by Enzo Castellari, who directed me in Inglourious Basterds.
There you go. And I'm going to be calling up Orion and asking them why I don't see this on Blu-ray or 4K, just so you know. All right.
There's another one that should be on Blu-ray right now, Devil's Triangle. Just finished that one.
The Devil's Triangle. Y'all heard that. We're going to put that in the chat. All right, sir. Thank you so much for spending your evening with us. We all enjoyed the film and definitely enjoyed this conversation. Les Frye, Native Brown Media. Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate you supporting us and partnering with us. And I want you guys to know the Hammer's been with us from day one, 9 years running.
She's been with us longer. She's been with me longer. Oh, she's 7-year-old?
Well, yes, 7 years old.
Listen, it's a family affair. It's a family affair. Well, we look forward to hopefully next year coming back into the actual physical realm.
Yeah,
and if that's the case, you know the Hammer will be, if he's not busy shooting something, he's going to be here with us.
Yeah.
Sir, thank you again. And
Pleasure.
everybody stay safe and have a good night.
A tout à l'heure.
Thank you.
Adios.
Hasta luego.